So we looked at production planning earlier. Now we move on to production control. Production managers can select the type of control that they're going to use according to the stage of production that they're in. So there are 3 different stages. We talk about pre-control, concurrent control, and post-control. So pre-control is really focused with activities that happen before any of the inputs are turned into something, right? So it takes place before production actually starts, right? When we look at concurrent control, this measures and monitors activities while production is taking place. So it's during the production process. And then it will address problems as they happen during the production process. Post-control is looking at the final output, the product that is finished now. It checks the quality. Does it meet the right measure that you were after? So in order to understand these 3 different phases, we're going to look at an example. And let's look at an example of a hand sanitizer, right? So pre-control, you're going to look at things like, do I have enough electricity to help with combining the alcohol and the oil content and the water, right? Do I have electricity to actually run this production system? The human resource focus will be, do I have qualified chemists who are mixing the correct portions for this hand sanitizer? Raw material focus, can I get the alcohol content on time? Is the quality at 99% pure alcohol? How quickly can I get that raw material here? So all of these things are about the input that you need to make this hand sanitizer. When we look at the concurrent control, remember this is about during the process. So it focuses on the quality control while you are taking all these raw materials and transforming them or changing them into a hand sanitizer. So let's say there is a problem and you realize that the bottles aren't filling up to 500 mils, right? You need to stop the production process and you need to fix that machine that is maybe only filling it up to 450 mils, right? Post-control would be now the production process is finished and it's about the aesthetics. It's about making it look good. Is the label on straight? Is the bottle clean? Does the squirt work properly? So that would be testing whether everything works correctly right at the end of the production process. So just to recap, when we're talking about pre-control, we're talking about using the inputs, all the raw materials that we get. So no activity has taken place yet. When we talk about concurrent control, it's about that transformation phase when your raw materials are being transformed using a recipe into a final product. So this activity is taking place. Okay, it's concurrent. And then we apply post-control to the final output, to the finished product. So the activity has now been completed and you're measuring it. Does it measure the standard that you wanted it to? So we've looked at production control in terms of the manufacturing process, pre, concurrent, and post. Now we're going to look at production control steps. Remember, we did deal with production planning steps. We're now looking at control. So what is production control? Each individual task must be controlled to ensure that the right quality products are delivered in the right quantity and at the right time. Okay, so everything needs to be absolutely perfect. Then we move on to what we call dispatching. This means the plan is executed and will inform the actions which need to happen at the start, during, and at the end of the process. Once the dispatching has started, supervisors will be able to check if all processes are working as planned and that the flow of work follows the correct route, the scheduling allows for enough time, and that there are no delays that are caused. Okay, so dispatching, just think of everything going out and checking, supervising that everything is going according to the plan that we spoke about when we mentioned routing, scheduling, and overloading of people. The next production control step we're going to talk about is the following up. So this is about checking on the progress of the work and having a look at the actual performance compared to the standard that you wanted it to meet. And questions you're going to ask here are things like, Is the output more or less than planned? So for example, I might have planned to have manufactured 1,000 hand sanitizers within 2 hours. But in actual fact, I've now only manufactured 500. So now I need to start checking why am I short? What went wrong? Is the deviation serious enough to stop production? Right? So let's look at that example where I said the bottles were only filling up to 450 mils. Do we stop the production process, fix that machine so that all the bottles are of the same standard and are at 500 mils? Remember, you can't false advertise that it's 500 mils and then you're only selling 450. Should we reroute or reschedule? What do we need to change to fix what has happened? And then we're going to talk about inspection. So these are set up throughout the process, and they do include pre, concurrent, and post control points. It includes the process and the product both at the same time. All legal requirements and regulatory specifications must be inspected to adhere to the required standards. And lastly, we talk about a corrective action. So any adjustments which must be made to any of the processes, materials used, or the allocated staff members to that particular task, or machinery and equipment must be corrected if it impacts on the productivity and on the costs. So just remember, production control steps, we're looking at things like dispatching, when everything goes out, checking that it's right. Following up, checking, is everything going according to plan? Inspection, it happens at pre, during, and post. And lastly, corrective actions. If something is wrong, stop and fix it. And that is the end of production control.